Yay.
What's
All
going
right.
on?
Let's say what's going on, guys. So we're here live tonight. This is the new weekly Quantum Academy that we're going to be continuing. This is week 2 of a 12-week series on actual coral feeding. So we've got 12 different pieces of content, blogs that are going to come out weekly on Sundays. That's going to be a different aspect of feeding your reef and making sure that the corals and the entire ecosystem gets fed the way that they deserve and mimic kind of the way they get in nature and in the wild. We're here today with Matthew Smoyer. He's a longtime friend of mine. He runs the Carolina reefing community. He's a very, very, very public face that everybody in the Carolinas and really the whole Southeast has seen. I brought him on here because he talks with so many different people about the way they feed their corals and everything else that goes on in that aspect. And he's got lots of beautiful tanks himself. So, Matt, please tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for CRC, and what all you're about.
Well, I'm the president of CRC. Brandy Kemp started it. I think it was started the year of or the year before COVID. We kind of started with some local meetups, but then our thing was kind of the Zoom meetings, which carried the club through. Um, the COVID and all the isolation things that everybody did, and that was a big boom. That was a big boom for the aquarium hobby, the hobby, because a lot of people that stuck at home, they spent money on tanks and they spent money on their house and stuff because nobody could go on vacation and do things. So that was a big boom, and
The aquarium
um,
industry during COVID was huge. I was surprised at how quick it grew.
correct. And then we kind of gained traction because we were an outlet for people to see other folks and interact doing meetings on Zoom. um,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people were either you couldn't meet, people were scared to meet, or whatever. So a lot of the club stuff, if they were kind of struggling anyways, but that was kind of the final blow for some of the clubs. Well, we kind of trucked right along pretty good. And the one thing I like Zoom, which is similar to this platform too, is that you can have guests on there and it's not a huge inconvenience. It's not like you have to fly people across the country, put them up in hotels and feed them and do all that things. It's an hour out of somebody's time, and they
Yep.
they sit in an office and then they turn around and join their family. So
Yep.
um we
Or
still
sit with a nice shirt on top and a pair of sweatpants underneath.
yeah. So I mean, we still use Zoom, but we're you know the one thing I noticed is like it's getting people got in that isolation mode, and throughout the Carolinas, I'm doing more to get people out and interact with each other, because it seems like some people have lost the ability to interact with one another, and I truly think that this hobby is much better um, doing it with friends and doing it together than it is doing it in isolation. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's and that's why I got involved with the Carolina reefing community, and then Brandy started it, and then she got busy. Her life and her bandwidth and stuff got limited, and so she had to step down, and that was about a year ago. She was kind of working through her stuff and trying to help where she can, but ultimately got the decision where she couldn't keep up with it anymore. But we have a good team and we're moving forward, and you can see us we go to shows. I go to most shows, especially from Florida. Anything that's 8 hours away from me, I'll go to the show.
I see you darn near everywhere in the Southeast. It's crazy. Every time I turn around, it's like, yep, where's Matt? I ain't seen him yet. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, well, and I like people, and I like seeing my friends, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's if you don't get out to the show and meet people, you're really missing out on that aspect of the hobby.
Yeah, you are. Shows are an incredible time where you can sit, meet people, ask direct questions to any vendors, and we can walk you through everything. It's really a great time. I love shows. That's why I do so many of them. My wife doesn't like them on the other hand because I'm not at home with the kids, but shows are awesome.
Well, that's another important thing. So I'm starting a new tank, a new Red Sea Reefer
Okay.
170, and I'm planning on using your Quantum line for doing it. I used Quantum for about a year on a 70 that I had, and then I went to a 220, and I kind of went to another system,
Uh-oh.
kind of an algae driven system.
Okay.
But I mean, I had great results with Easy E and Easy Z.
Hmm.
That was great products. I had BioEnhance, I had Coral Cane, I had your Phyto. I used all those products in that tank with great results. I had mixed. I had SPS. I had some torches, and I mean, I had all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that tank went well, and the only reason why I stopped doing that is because I moved to a larger system, and um, yeah, it was I switched gears. But anyways, but I'm planning on keeping the system I got, and
Setting up another one.
and going back to the other one. But the other thing is a lot of the things that go into my choosing what company to use is like knowing the owner and the players that are involved. That like if the company and I know the people that are behind it, that I can ask questions directly to them. That's important to me. A company that that has products and it's some mythical person that you have no idea, and they're unattainable to to ask questions. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in the companies that I can build relationships with.
I get you. That's how I am, and that's one of the reasons why firsthand that I try to stay as front facing as possible and as easily accessible in the evening time as I can. So, and that's one of the biggest things that I strive to do. And I'm trying to get. We're looking at bringing on 2 or 3 sales reps right now that we're talking to, and telling them that hey, you guys have to be front facing. You're gonna have to get on social media. You're gonna have to be the face in your area because I have a family. I can't travel the entire United States, but if I can handle the Southeast, someone else handles the Midwest, someone else handles the Northeast, then I get Matthew Smoyers all around the United States, and it's great for the company.
Yeah,
And it gives those stores and the community a person to talk to.
You can't be every place at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that Riptide brought up a great point the other night, and I don't know that it got echoed enough, but when he said that he was looking at starting his tank, he said he was looking at, he wanted to do an entire ecosystem of a product, and I think, and that's amazing because I think a lot of people cherry pick this and cherry pick that, and then
Yes.
they try to put all this stuff together in a system, and then some of it's not made to go together. Some of it's doing opposite things, and so like
Or doing the same thing and overdosing, and people don't realize it.
right, but yeah. So if you're following an ecosystem as it's designed to be used, your results are going to be far better. And the other thing is your support's going to be better because it's hard for you. I know we're getting off cap, but it's hard.
No, you're good.
It's hard for you. Like if somebody calls you and says my tank's doing this, right? And they're using a product that you're not familiar with.
Yep.
It's hard for you to speak about that product. But if everybody's using your product, you can speak about what's going on in the tank.
100%. And it's very hard for me with owning Quantum, the distribution side of Quantum, to go to you using Red Sea because you have a Red Sea tank, right? Say you're using Red Sea products and you have an issue. It's hard for me, and I have to really watch my tongue on what I say to what's causing your issue versus what's truly going on. Because I can't say, oh, well, this needs to be refrigerated every week, but you're not keeping it in the refrigerator. This could be what's causing your phosphate issues. So it's, as a brand, I can't come out and just say this product is doing this. I have to say, hey, read the bottle, read these 2 lines to make sure you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit more challenging.
Get the glasses out and actually read the small text.
And it does make it harder. And I, like you said, using an entire ecosystem is great. The one thing I do want to add to that statement is because we are not nationwide yet. We're slowly spreading out from the Southeast right now. If you do decide to use our products, all of our liquids and additives are 100% compatible with any type of foundation salt that you're using. So if you are using Red Sea, Fritz, Seachem, Brightwell, any Aquaforce, Tropic Marin, any of those salts, all of our additives are perfectly built to go with whatever type of foundation salt that you're using. So you don't have to be in that realm of, oh, I can only do this if I'm using Quantum salts. It's just we recommend you use our salts, but you don't have to. So we would recommend, though, once you start going into like, if you're using our amino acids, use our phyto and our coral food with it because they complement each other very well. If you're using our Easy E, don't go use alkalinity from Brightwell. That's a complete system. Use those systems together. And also, if you're going to start adding extra things like cherry picking, like you said earlier, make sure you're not cherry picking something else and adding on top of, because like our BioEnhance contains all the amino acids that you'll ever need. If you start adding other type of aminos on the side, you're going to have issues. So make sure you know what you're getting into. And if you have questions, I'm nothing more than a text message away or a phone call away or an email away. And I'm really quick at responding.
Yeah. And I think that's especially important for like newer hobbies and stuff. Yeah. If you're an old seasoned guy, you might be able to skate different things, but yeah, for newer hobbyists, start cutting your teeth by following the programs.
Follow this program right here. This quantum guidebook walks you through everything from start to finish for an aquarium, for a saltwater tank, whether it's a reef tank, a Fowler tank, or whatever. It is on our website, under guides and logbooks. It's pretty quick and simple to find. Yeah. Let's close this window real quick. It's about to jump up on the screen. Wrong spot. Go away. I'm still learning the software. I've been using it for years, but I'm still trying to learn it 100%. So now let's go ahead and get to the topic. We're 12 minutes in. Let's go ahead and get to the topic. There's quite a few people on here. Hey, Carrie Meredith, how you doing tonight? Topic tonight is art of coral feeding. I'm going to close both. About why to use broadcast feeding versus target feeding.
Just a second. So when you pulled that screen up, your audio disappeared for a while. So
I know I realized I turned this off. That's why I was turning this back on. All right, so I'll go back over this whole thing. I didn't know how far it turned off.
As soon as you brought it up, you were gone, and I was like, okay, did you get kicked off?
No, like I said, I'm still trying to learn this thing perfectly. I'm trying to figure out how to make it. Oh, that's too big for us. There we go. We there? Cool. Got me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So today's blog is the art of coral feeding. It's broadcast feeding versus target feeding. Basically, the goal here is to kind of talk about the different variety of ways you could feed your coral and the ecosystem inside of your tank. What the benefits of broadcast feeding are versus the benefits of target feeding, when you should do which, and what you should do at all times. So, Matt, we'll start with you. What's your favorite type of feeding? How do you like to feed?
Well, I used to think that just dumping bottles of stuff in the tank was good enough. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily know what I was feeding, but somebody gave me a bottle and said, "Hey, corals like this, dump this in."
Gotcha. So that's method broadcast feeding.
Yeah.
Did you ever go in and take some of that bottle and just go in and directly like target feed any of your corals, or did you always just do it as a broadcast feed?
I did. I'm gonna try not to mention products.
Yeah. So let me break one thing off. This blog is nothing about products. We're talking about the feeding methodologies, and all that kind of stuff. Why we do this, what it's needed for the coral industry. There's also some of these blogs. I don't know if you saw the one yesterday. I don't mention a product name, but I actually say clunky, chunky food is not the best food for certain types of corals. And everybody knows coral cane is a pretty thick, big food. But this is for why our reefs need what we're doing. So, sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, I used to have a pretty big population of bounce mushrooms, and I noticed that, every time that once they got a certain size, if I fed them, they would split, they would move, they would reproduce. So yeah, feeding. If you wanted more of them, then you would feed them. Now I know like some foods I had to kind of weigh it out because I did notice phosphates would increase when I'd feed some foods. And I know we're going to get into that, but that's because there's a lot of impurities and other stuff in the food that cause that. But yeah, I would notice that. So it'd be a trade-off. Like I was always watching my nutrients, and a lot of times if I notice my phosphate's coming down, I'm like, oh, so I can feed, and
Yep.
then and get my corals to split and stuff. But yeah,
And that's kind of the whole point of this, is to go into excuse me, how to feed without getting those nutrient increases, and how to do it where your corals are getting what they need, because all corals need fed. I mean, they're only getting between 80 and 85% of their nutrition from light. So it's kind of like you and I. We get a lot of nutrition from walking outside the door, but we still have to eat to get the rest of it. Same thing for your corals. So they need fed, but the different variety and techniques, like you said, a lot of people don't do them all. It's because of nutrient issues. They're afraid that if I feed my tank 3 times a week, I'm going to have hair algae in 2 weeks, or I got to do a water change on Sunday, and I just can't do it. So that's why we're talking about this today. Do you target feed often, or do you just broadcast feed most of the time? Great.
I would say I broadcast feed predominantly. Now,
Okay.
like if I had, so I have a lot of acros and some LPS. I would say that if I had a lot more meat corals and stuff like that, stuff that really has an awesome feeding response, I'd probably target feed more. But yeah, it's kind of not the tank that I'm currently keeping. So I would say I do more broadcasting. Plus, I think broadcasting's easier.
Yes.
It's not. It's kind of labor intensive to target feed.
It is,
A lot of animals.
It is, and as you read through this blog, it actually talks about broadcast feeding as probably the number one type of feeding that we all should be doing, mainly because it mimics the natural reef's response. I mean, you mentioned in the pre-video a parrotfish swimming over, dropping his poop on top of the corals, and that's kind of like us target feeding. They don't have that in the wild, where it always is dropping on top of them. They're always having to reach out into the water column with their mucus bands, their polyps, or anything like that to grab the food and bring it in and absorb it. Very rarely do they actually have that parrotfish dropping crap on them, or a snail walking around pooping on them, or something like that. So we do recommend broadcast feeding as the number one feeding process for your tank, mainly because your corals get that exercise. They get to reach out for it, but also everything else in your tank gets fed. Your microfauna, your bacteria, all that kind of stuff gets fed as well. If you go target feed, nothing like that's getting fed except for from the coral's waste. So that's why we really recommend broadcast feeding. It increases the coral's taste. So it actually makes those corals, as you've seen when you do a broadcast feed, they always come out. You get that huge feeding response where they're really reaching out looking for that food. And again, that's why, because they're trying to stretch out and grab it. Target feeding, we do recommend target feeding at least once a week. The reason for that is so those big guys can get a big steak dinner. It's kind of like you and I. We all like to eat steak. We all like a big piece of chicken. We do need that humble source of protein that we can easily take in. And that's the reason for target feeding. The other benefit of target feeding is you get that awesome response when your fellow friends come over, or you're trying to show off that acantho or the beautiful scolies or whatnot. When you get that,
yeah, I got a large sailfin tang. I call him crop duster, and so he's the one that target feeds. I just broadcast feed, but he target feeds.
Yeah, I would recommend any of your bigger LPS corals and anemones, and some of your soft corals, like we got big old, like you said, bounce mushrooms or things like that. Definitely target feed those guys, but everything else, and non-photosynthetic corals, like your dendrophilias, your moon corals, things like that, because they're non-photosynthetic. They have to be fed, direct fed 3 to 4 times a week, or they will perish. I mean, it might take time. You might keep them for 6 months to a year, but anything after that, they will slowly start to perish if you don't target feed them.
So where do we go wrong with broadcast feeding? Like what's the downside of
I truly don't have a downside to target feeding. I got to look at my thing. The only thing I see is possibly overfeeding. Possibly, I mean, the overfeeding is the biggest thing. I mean, how do you know what your corals are consuming right off the bat? And also, most people turn off all their flow when they go to broadcast feed. Most people go, oh, I'm going to mix up my slurry. I'm going to pour it in the tank, and I'm going to turn the flow off and let it settle. Well, that's settling into the rocks and crevices, the bad areas of your tank where it is going to break down and turn into phosphates and nitrates. So that's going to have issues there, and as well as causing your cleanup crew and things like that to come back.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me. So I'll turn the return pump on, but I'll leave my wave makers go, and I just use that to blow the stuff all over.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I personally do that as well. Before we got coral cane in the industry, I did that as well. I would turn off my return pump mainly because I didn't want my skimmer to overflow in the sump and dump all of its nastiness back into my sump.
Yeah.
So now with coral cane, it doesn't do that. You don't have to worry about that. But now I'm mentioning the product, so shut up, Will.
Yeah, mainly I only turn the stuff off when I target feed, because
when you do a direct target feed.
Yeah, because then you can't target feed with that stuff on. It does.
No, if you're doing marine snow or anything like that, a real fine powder, you can't target feed with any flow on. Now I see why you asked that question.
What?
About the broadcast feeding. I saw our notes that we had, and I just saw the question. I saw you look over at your phone. I was like, oh, I see that note now. That's why you asked that question. All right, what else you got? Ask me more. I like this. This is better. So what's your favorite coral food? What were you using?
So
interesting.
So I like stuff with phyto and I do like your jungle juice with coral cane.
Yep.
Yeah, with the phyto. What is it? What do you call your phyto? Phyto something.
Pure phyto.
Pure phyto. Yeah.
Yep.
The jungle juice,
the pure phyto, and the bioenhance.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I don't know if you heard yesterday.
Because it kind of checks the box. Like I'm really up on tank maintenance, like equipment maintenance and stuff. And feeding, I'm just like, check the box, do it fast, add the things and move on. And then I spend more time in making sure my equipment's running correctly. And
what do you feed your fish right? I mean, I'm only asking because you feed your fish correctly, you make sure they're nice and healthy, but you don't do the same for your corals.
I'm not sure that I do.
Okay.
If you want to talk about, I kind of have an old ketchup bottle, and I put a slurry of a whole bunch of stuff in it, and I mix it up every week, and then I just squirt a little bit in the tank when it's feeding time. And there's plenty of things. There's a selection of stuff, but like I said, I like the jungle juice stuff because it's kind of like my food habit, right? Mm-hmm. I put a whole bunch of stuff in a ketchup bottle that I bought at
hibachi bottle.
Yeah, I bought it at Dollar Tree. Yeah, mm-hmm. And I just mix it up every week, put it in the refrigerator, squeeze that in, and I'm not doing it every single day.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely don't want to do it every day.
I'm not thawing cubes out, and I probably wouldn't be, I'd only mix food up a couple times a week. Like Saturdays are normally my fish tank days, but the rest of the week, I got kids playing sports, and I'm I'm an Uber driver. Like I'm literally all over the place. So gotcha. Time's kind of an issue, but Saturday's normally my day that stuff gets fed. But the rest of the week, bro, it is hit or miss whether it happens.
Just like a typical American. I mean, we're always busting our butts, moving, trying to do things as fast as we can, and still have successful reef tanks. So I get it. Wayne Perry, I can actually show this. Where's my screen? It actually popped up. There it is. Boom. This actually goes into one of the other questions we had. So how often should I broadcast feed versus target feed? LPS, SPS? Is broadcast feeding more beneficial? So it's one of the sections in here we were going to cover, but I kind of like this open method a little bit better. I definitely recommend feeding your tank at least weekly. We definitely recommend broadcast feeding more, especially until your corals get used to it. Once your tank and your corals get used to it, then you can go into broadcast feeding the first, I would say, like on Monday, then doing a direct target feeding on, say, Thursday, and then doing another broadcast feeding on Saturday. That is what we would recommend for every single tank. That's going to give your corals all the nutrition and everything that they need, whether it be from the phytocycline inside of phytoplankton, whether it's amino acids, the carbohydrates, the vitamins, and those type of things. And it's going to give the corals everything that they need.
This is going to be a do as I say, not as I do segment. Because
why?
Well, for me,
me,
because like literally, it would be broadcast feeding, and Saturday would be the only target day that I would have.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. Me personally, I target feed on Saturdays. I target feed on Saturday or Sunday, whatever day I'm actually at my store, where I can actually see my display tank and whatnot. Most of the time, it's we actually take a little pinch of our coral food and put it right into our fish food, shake it up, and dump it in at the same time. That way, the corals are getting fed 3 times a week. I'm target feeding them once a week. They're getting their broadcast twice a week. All the microfaunas, all the bacteria in my tank are all getting fed as well, and everything's allowed to break down and process it correctly. Once your tank gets established this method, there's no more, depending on the type of coral food you use, there should be no more of that, oh, I'm feeding my tank on Saturday, I got to do my water changes on Sunday. Which you've experienced that before.
Yeah. I would experience with some food product where my feeding was based off of what my nutrient numbers were. So if my nutrient numbers were high, I fed less, and if my nutrient numbers were lower, I felt better about feeding.
Yep, that's typically how.
Which I know is not.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best, but I'm kind of old school, and I kind of feel like, our job is to keep water, and all the animals in there are kind of secondary to keeping. I mean, the water is my main focus, right?
Right.
So
right,
yeah,
and that's what we've all been taught in this industry since the early '90s is alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, and trace elements are 100% the most important thing. They're your building blocks for your corals. Same thing for us. It's like us. You have to drink milk. I mean, you have to drink calcium, or you're going to have to take supplements for calcium. Same thing. So, but you still got to get fed. You still have to have your amino acids, your carbohydrates, all those type of things that the corals have to do the processing. And those aminos actually help build your skeleton blocks. So those types of things help them process that calcium, that alkalinity, and all those other elements that they need for coloration and skeletal growth. So it is sort of kind of a requirement. Yes, do they get enough from fish food? Some people say yes, some people say no. In the ocean, they always have microsuspended foods. There's always foods available for them, whether it's phytoplankton, krill, run here, run. Depending on, I mean,
run away.
It's always available for them. So they always have that ability to reach out and grab. And that's the benefit of the broadcast feeding. When it comes to what's better for LPS, SPS, things like that, we definitely recommend a broadcast feed for SPS because they have so many different types of polyps and they do the best when they can reach out and grab. That's where you're going to look at your daily dosing of your amino acids, whether it is whatever type of brand you use. Daily dosing of amino acids, fatty acids, carbs, and vitamins for those guys is 100% recommended. It will help their growth. It will help their pigmentation. It helps with the skeletal growth and everything like that. When it comes to LPS, those guys have big mouths and they have big stomachs. So they do like the target feeding a lot better. It'll actually make them grow a lot faster. It'll actually help build their flesh bands a lot healthier. But they also do very well on broadcast feeding because if anybody has seen like favias or moon corals or whatnot, when those guys start reaching out, it's freaking incredible. Go feed a Hollywood Center chalice in the middle of the night and get a red light and watch him. I mean, you'll see all over the place. It's crazy.
But that you probably hate that I've called your your bioenhance, your coral cane, and your phyto the jungle juice. But
no, I don't. We call it the power food.
The 3-part jungle juice. But what I like about that is that you could turn the flow off, you could target feed, and then you could turn the pump on and whatever's left, you can go, well, I'm broadcasting this to the
Yep.
rest of the tank.
Yep.
And it kind of checks all the boxes, you know?
It does. It does. And I'll be honest, if I'm at my shop, I target feed every time I'm there, just because what they don't consume when I go squirt it on ends up being the broadcast fit.
Yeah. As soon as you turn the pumps on, it's gone.
Yep. Yep. I target feed, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then I turn the pumps on. I just push the button for feed mode, and then it goes into broadcast feed. If they haven't consumed it in that 10 minutes, that's on them, brother. They'll get it when it comes back around.
Do you find that your corals have to compete with the shrimp and the fish and all the other inverts that are trying to still this?
So up front, yes. But if you continue to do this on a steady schedule, you'll notice that your fish will start staying away. I noticed in one of my 50-gallon displays that I have at the reef shop that we started doing it on, like I said earlier, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday type feeding schedule. And we would feed at 4 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, feed the tank itself. All the fish and everything would go crazy, eat their foods. And then we would go right after that and feed the corals. The corals started consuming the food so fast because they were hungry. They were always ready for it at that point. Once you built up that rhythm, that they were immediately absorbing it. So they were grabbing it faster than shrimp can rip it out of their mouths.
So your magic sauce, what's the magic balance between the magic sauce or the jungle juice or the secret sauce or whatever you say it was?
Technically, it's 1 scoop of coral cane, I get it right here. Yeah, 3 milliliters of pure phyto, 1 milliliter of bioenhance to 1 scoop of coral cane, and it's mixed with 4 milliliters of water. What that is the pure phyto actually entices the corals, gets them to realize that they're hungry because now they see all these microparticulates in the water. That's actually a food source for them, which causes energy, makes them start reaching out and going out for the food. The bioenhance, which is the amino acids and the carbs, they actually start absorbing that, which makes them extremely hungry. And then you have the particulate food as the coral cane that they actually consume to get their marine proteins. So it kind of goes, hey, you are hungry. Now I'm hungry. Now I'm eating. So it kind of hits the best of all 3 worlds for your corals.
You got the burger, shake, and the fries.
Yes, it gives you everything. And it really does. And it does it in a way where they all complement each other inside of your corals. The other thing is the coral cane alone does have a powdered version of our bioenhance and our phyto inside of it. So is it a requirement to do all 3 together? No. Is it more of a power combo boost for your corals? Abso-freaking-lutely. They're going to go crazy for it. And the biggest benefits is not going to increase the nutrients in your tank.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I used to mistake was like smaller foods I used to think was broadcast, like, phyto and stuff, that's broadcast food. And then larger particle size, that's the target feeding. But with the coral cane, you also crush some of it up, but you can do both. So it's a one size fits all.
And it is. And a lot of people freak out about the coral cane, kind of like you said, because it is a larger stuff, I don't want to say pellet because it's not a pellet, but a larger particle, as you said. It's got 16 different size grains in there, but it's all wrapped inside of fat lipids. And everything inside of it is a marine complex. So it's marine proteins, it's marine fat lipids, it's everything that you'll find in the ocean. So as it doesn't get consumed, your microfauna, your bacteria and everything can consume on it to enrich their environment and enrich that ecosystem inside your tank to give them food without creating crap.
You're not feeding the same things you're feeding chickens somewhere, right?
You're feeding marine proteins, not land proteins or terrestrial proteins, as the scientists call it. So we pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover on that. We hit it all pretty quick and easy. I've been sitting here reading this thing and making sure that I got it all.
Yeah, that's what I was glancing at to see if is there any questions from the...
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Anybody got any questions? Because, we kind of went through that one pretty well. It does suck that the TikTok one is off because the TikTok is the one that had all the questions yesterday or last week.
Yeah. So is there... what's like the individual techniques? Like, so if you're using your secret sauce, or the jungle juice is what
Jungle
I call
juice.
it. If you're gonna feed the jungle juice, like, so what's the technique of feeding a torch versus feeding a scully versus feeding a meat coral?
It's
Like
all the
it,
same. When it comes to when you mix up that jungle juice, I suck it up in a pipette or a syringe or my battery acid turkey baster right here. My finger is weird because I'm not looking the right way.
yeah.
I take it and I literally just turn off the flow and squirt it right on top of it. Let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes at most. 30 minutes is the longest I ever do because I don't want to overfeed them, so they waste it all out. I want them to eat what they need and then let the flow take it off. After about 30 minutes, turn the flow on back to normal and let it run. One of the other benefits to our jungle juice is it's not going to increase your protein skimmer. So as you know, as you've seen with lots of other foods, you have to turn off your protein skimmer after you get done feeding, or it's going to overcake and overrun because it's stripping out all those inorganic materials that food put in for you, where ours doesn't have any inorganic materials.
So what's the solution to say somebody that's watching this and they're like, oh man, this sounds like the program that I've been looking for. I got, I can buy this. I can buy 3 things from one company and I'm covered across the board as feeding, but I only have a Petco down the street and Quantum's not being sold at Petco. How do I get my hands on this stuff?
Show up to a trade show, buy it, tell your local fish store that you want it. If your fish store says what, get their information, send it to me. I will get in touch with them. I actually reached out to Jeremy today, sent him an email. I got a phone call with him tomorrow, just to throw that at you. And if you none of that works out, you can buy it directly from us. We do sell direct online. We are one of the only manufacturers in the industry that sells direct. But what we do as well is we charge MSRP plus shipping. So you will have to pay shipping from us. I can't undercut our local fish stores because our local fish stores are what keep this industry going.
I guess, I guess as you get hubs across the United States that you might walk away from that option.
Oh yeah, we are looking quickly to get away from direct to customer sales. I personally hate it. I love dealing with everybody, but I hate driving to my warehouse every freaking 10-15 minutes to do a shipment. It is getting annoying. So even once I get somebody, we're busy enough with just to stores that I don't want to do direct to customer sales. We are talking to Bulk Reef Supply, saltwateraquarium.com, some of the other bigger guys that do that to offer it on those sites, but I want you in your stores.
So do you have like local LFS that does have an online presence? Because I think a lot of the local LFS, they're really struggling. If anybody follows me at all, you've noticed that I posted quite a bit lately about supporting your local LFS. But I know a lot of these guys, they're undercut by so many of these big guys that people are buying stuff for the price that they're getting it for. So
yeah,
it really hurts. And then some of it, they got to do some of their own online selling. So if you have a guy that is a local LFS that carries your product that has it online, you can kind of spoon feed customers to them. Do you have any of those that you could think of if somebody doesn't have a local?
We have a few. Yes, we do have a few. I don't want to name one because I know like of 15 of them. So I would start.
Somebody will be like,
I don't want to play favorites. Exactly. I will say there is a lot of people online selling our products. I know because we use Shopify for our back end site. We have probably 15 or 20 collab companies that actually drop ship directly from us. So if you do have a local fish store that uses Shopify or something like that for their POS system, they can reach out and say, hey, we would like to offer drop shipping for your products. Customer would still pay exact MSRP or whatever that store sells it for, and it would be drop shipped straight to them. So that is something we offer to stores, mom and pop stores, to help them. I definitely recommend going and working with your local fish store because without them, you never would have seen a fish tank. Yeah. It's sad what's happening to this industry. I mean, it's sad. I've worked in local fish stores since I was 12 years old. Back in 98 was when I first started in a local fish store. And I have watched the internet world destroy this industry. And the biggest prime example, Python siphon hose. I can go to Amazon as a store with my business account and buy a 75-foot Python water hose. It used to be $59.99 for the exact same price as my best friend's fish store can buy it from his distributor.
Yeah. No.
But yet, I don't know how to hook it up. So I walk into my best friend's fish store and ask him questions.
Yeah.
And now I'm asking someone to waste their time on me when I didn't even support them in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
And that's the hardest thing about owning a fish store or having friends that own a fish store. Sorry to keep interrupting you, but that's the hardest thing when I'm sitting there talking to guy at Fishy Business and someone comes in with a Jabo pump. Can you help me program this? No, call Amazon. Call them. Get them to help you because you bought it from them. If you want your local fish store to support you, yes, they have a little bit more overhead. That's why things are a little bit more expensive. But you're not getting crap products. You're getting things. You're getting the help. You're getting the questions that you need help with. You're getting everything taken care of. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, but it's there ready for you. They're there. They're invested in you, and they're invested in your tank. You have a problem with your fish tank, you call Guy or Kat or Hayden and go, hey, I've been working with you for the last 9 months. I can't keep my alkalinity up. What's going on? Well, maybe you just need to up your dosing by 2 milliliters because you've got XYZ. You've bought this many more corals. They know your tank. It goes back to what you said earlier, that ecosystem. Building that ecosystem from the beginning. Your store is part of your ecosystem. You just don't realize it.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, you know, if you need water tomorrow, your LFS is going to be where you get it from. If you need, you know, carbon or anything else that you're not going to get it next day. I mean, even Amazon, even Amazon is at least, you know, 3 days to get it to your door, but they're not going to help you. But I've seen people come in and the store owner will walk them through. I mean, this is what you buy. This is what you need. You need these lights. You need this power head. You need this pump. You know, sizing everything appropriately. And then they go, oh, well, I'm gonna think about it. And then they go home, and then they get bored at night, and they order it online, and then it comes, like you said. And if they get like a Trident or something, they're like, oh, my Trident's not working. Can you help? Well, you didn't buy it from them. They have no responsibility to help you with anything that you didn't buy from them.
We do because we want your money and we want your support and we want you to come back. So it's just not fair. I hate to say it, it's just not fair. It's really not. Well, it's taking advantage where advantage should not be taken of. And I don't know how else to say it other than that.
The one thing that will happen, and I have seen it happen in local places. It's like the store owner gets to the point and it's like, I can't do it anymore. I shut the door. And then people were like, man, I can't believe they shut that store down. Now I don't have an LFS. Now I can't go in there and, you know, impulse shop anything. You know, I can't go in and buy inverts because, you know, people don't realize that inverts cost a lot of money when you buy them online and ship them to yourself. But you could go to a pet store, you know, you could go to your LFS and you could buy a couple of them at a time each time you go in there. Yep. And it really is not a big ding on your wallet. Yep. But if they go away, you're only buying them from online.
Yep. You spend $10, and we tell everybody when they come into a store, spend $10. $10 of your budget goes to cleanup crew. Whether that might be 2 Trocus that visit, but that's better than having to buy 30 of them from anywhere and spend $75 for shipping to get it shipped to you, or $25, whatever it is. So it's the bigger thing is you have an issue. I mean, your tank's going through an issue. Who are you going to call? I mean, you're not going to call the Ghostbusters. I mean, you're going to call online and somebody who might know your tank or know your system or what's going on. You're never going to get your issue resolved.
Well, you just made a great point. When you go to your fish store, you should take a list. But if you don't have a list, you should walk around the store and say, what is one thing that I need that I could walk out here with today?
Yep.
And buy something from them every time you go in there. Like if you're leaving without spending $10 minimum, there's something wrong.
Yep. Either with that fish store or they just don't have anything that you need. I don't
Hey,
know how to say that without being a douche.
it's gonna cost you more to go to the zoo and
Yep.
look at those animals than what you just walked around the
Yep.
store and looked at all the animals with your kid. Buy something. If not, you know what? They should have a tip jar. People should be putting tips in the jar if they don't buy anything.
And it's so weird. A mom and pop store. This is going to sound terrible. A mom and pop store would rather you buy a pen from them than walk out not spending a dime, because a lot of those mom and pop stores use different type of loans to float for corals, for fish, for different things like that, because they are mom and pop stores. They're using their retirement, or this is their retirement. They're using this for their funds, and they don't make a lot of money because 80% of their customers are buying online. I live in Destin, Florida. I mean, we have a few fish stores here. My parents, in fact, own a fish store, and I would say 90% of our customers purchase online. And it irritates the snot out of us, and they come in and ask us questions and whatnot, but we still support them. But it's just like, and if you buy this, it makes their numbers look better, and it makes them feel good because you at least donated something to their time.
Well, and then the other thing I want to parlay to that, so is the club thing. So if you think that the local club doesn't make a difference, it certainly 100%. Does, because how many big shows have you gone to that doesn't have a strong local club environment? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Zero. Nobody will put on a show in an area that doesn't have a strong club environment, or a small or a retail giant that's driving,
willing to back it. Yep.
Yeah. If you don't have the volunteers, and if you don't have the local people that you can instantly tap into, you're not having a show in your area. So if you're in an area and say, man, no shows come here, well, there's probably a good reason for it. You should probably organize something and get a group of people together and draw that kind of interest to it. The other thing is that most of my LFS, they're in my group. And so if you go home, most of the time you don't have problems at 12 o'clock in the middle of the daytime.
Yep.
10 o'clock at night's when you're going to find an issue and you're going to need help. And you know who's going to be available? The people that have the community groups.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is the biggest thing about clubs is you and I mean, I'm part of CRC. I'm a sponsor of CRC, actually.
You are.
I love CRC because I can reach out at any time and ask 300 people a question. Now, they're all 300 might give me a different answer, but I know I've got 300 different answers that I can go through to figure out which one might be my correct answer. Or I've got Fishy Business. I don't know what all stores are part of your guys' group, but I got Fishy Business who guy jumps in and goes, hey, here's an answer. Well, oh, cool. He actually at 11 o'clock at night answered my questions. That makes me really want to go back in and support him the next day. Yeah. The other thing is, oh crap, I need a par meter. I put a new light on my tank. I'm not going to go spend $800 for an MPQ par meter. I can ask my group if anybody's got one. Oh yeah, come over. I'll buy you a beer and come par out my tank. That community involvement is huge in this industry. And honestly, our spouses obviously don't like these things, so it gives us somebody to hang out with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, my wife. You know,
I know.
I drag her to this stuff. I mean, she likes the pretty fish and stuff, but she would not
care less about the vanadium levels.
Oh no, but she wouldn't even have it in her house. Like if it wasn't for me, we there wouldn't be a 6-foot tank in our living room. But she tolerates me, and she goes and and hangs out with the people at the clubs, and she actually has a decent time. I mean, you don't have to be a fish expert. The other thing too is like groups like ours, we're moderated. I mean, I have volunteers that moderate the sites, and they make sure that people aren't shamed, that they're not bullied, that if they're new and they have a question, they're really quick to come alongside them and help them and guide them through the process. So being that our site, we put resources in the site to make it safe for everybody, and we want the new hobbyists coming to us, because at least we can point them and steer them in a good direction. Did you hear? I forget the numbers, but Russell at Reef Gurus was talking about Ryan Batchelor, how
Oh
he's
yeah,
like,
that 90% of people are out of this hobby within 6 months of ever joining.
yeah,
And that's a true statistics. I mean, I've seen it over the last 20 years. It's 100% true.
that's
Why do you think that happens?
that's an epic fail.
100%.
It's because so like
So
going back.
let me back up a little bit, or you back up. Go ahead. Sorry.
So there's, it used to be, right, in the forums days, like you had to read books to get information, and you had to go through, there was peer reviewed stuff, right? So like a lot of things wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like way up. Well, right now, anybody with an account has an opinion, and so
Yep.
when you have a brand new hobbyist, like an old head like me, I got a bullshit meter. Like, yeah, I'm like a bullshit.
Yep.
But somebody new to hobby, they have no idea. They could be taking somebody's crap advice and
Yep.
running with it, and they're spending good money on this. And when they get frustrated, or if they, I mean, if they, what if they buy a gem tank and they kill
Mm-hmm.
that thing in 6 months? Like, that's devastating, and that's enough to put somebody out.
It is. And like Josh Thompson just asked a question. How have I been in it 3 years now? You're one of the 10% that actually were smart, did your research, and actually ran through the rigorous processes of getting a tank set up.
Well,
It's not rigorous. It's easy. But you just got to stay with it and listen to the right people and find the right people. That's where these clubs come into play. People like CRC, yes, they're Carolina reefing community, but they're not out of Carolina. They've got vendors in Idaho, in California. They're all across America. They're one of the biggest, best groups that is in this industry. Um, if you're willing to push through it and get through it, it's definitely an incredible and easy, I won't say easy, but very manageable hobby. If you don't have the right people around you and supporting you, it is very easy to fall out, especially when, like you said, I go spend $800 on a gem tank because so and so online said I could have it in a 32-gallon tank. And now I told my wife I just spent my car payment on my tank and it dies. She's like, well, I could have got a new car for that.
Yeah.
And that's where it ends up. Those internal issues is what ends up getting people out of this industry.
Well, I would guess that if he's been there for 3 years, he found a pretty good mentor somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So he found a YouTube channel, or you found somebody that actually spoke some truth into the process that you were doing, and so you got a little bit of that. But you're one of the lucky ones, because a lot of people, if they don't partner with somebody that, I mean, there used to be a saying, if you find somebody that you like the way their tank looks and figure and make friends with them, and then and then try to emulate what they do. But online, it's a crapshoot. You have no idea whether you're seeing their tank or not.
Yeah, and the biggest thing about online is everybody's a keyboard warrior. Everybody's got their own opinion, just like everyone's got their own armpit. I know it's a different saying, but I can't say that on live. So,
you can say whole butt.
Whole butt. Yeah, there we go. And it is, and you brought up a good thing. Find someone's tank you like. Find a method that you like. One of the biggest misconceptions that I've seen in this industry, and I've been in this industry for almost 30 years now. It's been 30 years now. Everybody wants a beautiful tank. There is a million ways to get to that tank. There's only one way that works for you. And me, I've done this forever. I know you've done this forever, Matthew. It's not hard to figure out what method works for that end user. When you can find somebody, a mentor or a company or somebody that can walk you through that, guide you through that with written, proven documentation, it makes it so much easier for this industry. And that's the whole reason we're doing these blogs and we're doing this new Academy by Quantum, is so we can truly dive into the deep topics, but keep them at a 5th grade, 6th grade level. So it's very easy for everybody to understand. I could go into psilocybin and things like that about why phytoplankton is great, but there's no point. No one's going to remember that type of conversation. People are going to remember the fact that phytoplankton gets your corals happy, gets them hungry, gets them wanting to eat. That's what the industry needs to hear. Yes, I could go talk to Melv or some of the other people, but there's no point in these type of conversations on here.
Yeah, my friend Elisa, You know,
Mm-hmm.
she's had great success.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I won't talk about the system that she's on, but she decided to get a handbook and follow a system to the T, right? So she started new. She she read the handbook. She was doing exactly what the handbook said, what the system was. Like she wasn't distracted by all this other stuff. She stuck with the system. She's a beautiful thing. She's a seasoned hobbyist now. And she can divert from the original system, but that core in the beginning, she got that structure. She got that
Mm-hmm.
foundation underneath her. Um, it if she would have chose another path, who knows whether she'd be
Who knows
successful.
where she would be? Yeah. It's weird how this industry works, but I love it. I truly do.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's something about those critters that we keep in a box that I mean, I've been I've been doing it since '99, and I've moved and sold tanks and started new ones, and I've kind of I started over probably like 4 times. Um,
Have you ever worked retail?
well, not in this hobby.
Not in the hobby. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no.
I knew you.
I
I knew you've
actually
been
never,
around for a long time, so I was just wondering.
I actually never worked in the hobby. The closest thing that I did to being involved in the hobby, other than like groups, I helped a bunch of community groups get started. Um,
Okay.
and been a part of that. Not necessarily the president, but I've been,
Right.
part of the board of stuff that kicked off these community groups. But the first thing that I did was I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Okay.
Although I was at Penn State, and I actually changed my major to horticulture, so actually have a degree in horticulture. Um,
Okay.
but the reason why I didn't do it is because I had, you know, Penn State has a program with Wallops Island in Virginia, and that
Mm-hmm.
costs a lot more money to be in that program. I actually went through all the scuba certification, and I didn't have enough money to get the actual certification because it was a whole week that you had to do all this stuff. I didn't have enough money. I was a poor college kid waiting tables and bartending. I didn't have enough money to do it, but I joined a club at Penn State because I was into the saltwater stuff. It was called Marine Society, and we came up with the idea of they were building the new hub building. We came up with the idea of putting that Penn State reef in there.
Mm-hmm.
It started out as a 55-gallon tank because we didn't know any better, because 55-gallon in the
Big
90s
tank. Yeah.
was a big tank,
Yep.
right? And then we got a little bit higher to like a 180, but we didn't even know that there was anything above that, and it ended up being a 500-gallon fish
Yep.
tank, and um that's when I first met Sanjay.
Okay.
And I didn't know him really really well because we were in the planning stages of it. So I when I graduated in '99. My class paid for it, so it didn't exist, but we were the people that laid the groundwork in order to get it submitted to class gifts, and then my senior class paid for that tank to be put in the hub. So I've been back to visit it a couple times, but man, I think in
Does it
2000,
look good, honestly, or not?
oh, so in 2004, in 2004 and 5, it was amazing. It was one of the most amazing thing I ever. They had a pair of banded angelfish in there. It was full acros.
Oh wow.
I believe it had a clam. It was one of the best reef tanks that I personally viewed in about 2004 and 5. I believe now it's kind of more of a softy tank.
Okay.
And that tank's pretty, man, I hate to say how long it's been since I've been in college, but that tank's pretty old. I mean, it's been around a while.
99 is 26 years, 27 years.
Yeah.
So
As a
that's
26. Yeah. And there's
that's
been
crazy.
some iterations of it, and Sanjay is, I believe, I think he's still over that, but
It's still on the
I
board that's over top of it.
yeah, I wish I would have came on in the process when the tank actually exists, because you're like, I did I went and got petitions signed, and and did all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really do the fun, hands-on stuff. It was more the planning aspect of it. But yeah, that was like one of my claim to fame. That's probably, other than the club thing, that's the only thing I really did.
Gotcha.
Yeah, never worked in the hobby.
Gotcha.
I think if I work in the hobby, it wouldn't be a hobby for me anymore. So
yeah, it's always been my hobby. My dream was always to own a company in this hobby, whether it's a fish store or a dry good product. I've always liked the dry goods because I've always liked the science behind it. I went to school originally for marine biology, kind of like you did. And then as soon as I got to the point where you have to do okay, I'm going to marine biology school or I'm going to something else, I was working at Petland as the general fish manager. And we hired two people who just graduated from the same college I did the year before with marine biology degrees, and I paid them $9 an hour where I was making 12. And I immediately went to computer engineering instead of marine biology.
yeah,
So I was like, this is not the right choice for my family and I, because of, as you know, I mean, you don't really live on the coast, but I know I'm down here in the Panhandle by Gulf Shores, Alabama, and everything, where they do a lot of the marine biology schools. And unless you get in with some sort of grant with a doctor, you ain't getting any money.
yeah.
It's not a money. It's a life living job. It's what I want to do. It's not a money making career.
Yeah, you're not raising a big family.
Yeah, it's like being a teacher. It's because you want to be a teacher. It's not because you're going for the money. You're going for that career. And I loved it. I knew marine biology is not aquariums. It's not. It's totally different. I enjoy this. I love that, the water, but the box is more what I want. So
now, at one point, I probably could have gotten in the hobby because I once BRS came out with the 2-part, I quickly learned how to keep acros, and I was, I lived outside. Well, I lived in Pennsylvania at the time.
okay.
I lived near Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I was quickly like one of the people that had. I bought every ORA coral that came out. Like when ORA released a new coral, I was back at the time where I had a standing thing with my LFS, and I'm like, hey, if a new coral comes out from ORA, just order it because I'll come in and buy it.
Yeah.
And I bought every ORA coral that was released, and I grew most of them to colonies. And I used to go to that fish place in Lancaster, and we had NC Pars was the club, but now I think it's the Reef Conservatory or something. They changed the name of it. But anyways, they used to have quarterly meetings, and I used to put my corals on frag swappers, and I would sell corals for $20. And when I was selling like colonies.
Yeah,
I was selling like colonies.
Mini colonies, yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't even on my radar. For me, it was just like, it was mama don't know money. So like I was getting that money, and I was, I was buying.
Mama doesn't know how I'm supporting this hobby.
Yeah, and I would buy. They would run. Was it buy 2 get 1 free salt, or buy 3 get 1 free salt, whatever. So I'd walk out with cash, and I would buy the salt deal, and then I had cash. I bought the very first generation of MB40. I bought that. I bought the very first generation of the Neptune Apex. Bought all that cash. Mama never even knew where that money came from. But yeah, I just used the corals to fund my hobby. But thinking back, being that early, man, I could have been an aquaculture farm.
Yeah.
I mean, I had.
It sounds like it. If you were doing the right thing and it was working, it sounds like it. Yeah, for sure.
But it wasn't even on my radar. I was just funding my addiction. That's all I was doing. And I wasn't really.
that's kind of how Quantum happened. I was funding my addiction. I loved their products. I started getting them to ship them in, and I was like, what would it take to just bring a container in? And then we did, and here we are today. So everything has been fun to get here, but here we are today. So
and the other thing is it put me in a position where I could help start clubs, because I would show up to club meeting, and I had corals that like I was cutting, and it was either throw them in the trash or take them and give them away at clubs. Yep. And I was like, you give them away as prizes, I don't care. I was like, but like this is just keeping them from going in the trash can. And so like they would have raffles and stuff for my corals and whatever, and I was happy to give people, a cheap piece that they could try their hand and keep in acros or whatever it was. And
if they lost it, they lost it because you were going to throw it away anyways.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I was like, man, if it dies, let me know. I'll bring you another one next meeting. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well, we've hit the hour mark. I'm going to call it because I haven't seen my kids much this week because I've been busy as all get out.
Well, so. I had fun. Any time that you need a co-pilot.
We're gonna be doing this weekly. So I've got a couple other people that are gonna come on. William Maurer, I know you know William Maurer.
Yeah, he's actually a part of our group now.
Yep. He was telling me he's part of your group now. He's actually going to come on and start doing the moderating on the backside of these for us, so he can pop up the questions and run the back behind the scenes stuff for us, so I don't have to look at all these questions, to kind of help allow us to be more free and more open. So I do want to bring on guests. Josh Thompson, you've been on here quite a few times now. If you want to jump up, let me know. We'll bring you on one time. I've talked to you plenty of times. You'll be a fun guy to bring on as well. I'm always interested. Cheyenne, have fun with Tank Talk. I'd love to bring people on. The whole point of this is to bring in users that either use our products or don't use our products and are interested in it, to talk about the blog of the week and then have an open forum type conversations.
Yeah, I mean, and the nice thing is that even if you use another source of alkalinity and calcium, you could still roll with your food. So which I think hands down, you probably have the best food combination out there. But
it's what made me bring this line to America.
But I got to tell you, the Easy E and Easy Z is a pretty good system. I used it for a full.
I appreciate that.
I used it for a full year. I only stopped because I broke the tank down and moved and got a bigger one.
It was, I don't want to say my design, but I reached out to him and said, we need this, and we made this happen. And the byproduct of this is Easy E and Easy Z. So I used that 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think it's been 3 years ago now. I was probably one of the early people. You were. Because the first show I released it at was Tristan's first show.
Yeah.
And I handed it to you.
And I had the big,
I went like this. I said, go play. And I handed you 2 bottles.
Yeah. And I was growing acros and everything else. And if I did ICP tests, like, there was always corrections that I had to make, but I mean, it was right. It was right in line with everything else, Yep.
And it's not for ICP testing. I mean, as you know, if you're ICP testing, you need to play with the signature series or the individual trace elements like Moonshiner's Triton or any of those guys. That's what ICP testing is.
It gets you close enough. It hits all the big.
Exactly. I was going to say, this gets you at that 80% check mark.
Yep. It gets you 80% there.
Yeah, it gets you where you need to be. It's better than any other 2-part out in the industry when I say it comes to getting those trace elements where you want them. Definitely recommend it to everybody. There is conversations happening on back ends with other brands right now that are huge in ICP testing, which is the one you're referring to, about looking into using our Easy E and our Easy Z as their 2-part. So it is conversations happening right now.
Well, I got a 2-head doser from Red Sea. I'm gonna. I guess I gotta swing by Terry's and pick stuff up. But when I get to the point where I need some supplement, I'm gonna run that on that system.
You'll love it. You already loved it. So
and I'll document it. That's the thing. So I I'm not keeping you late, but I've struggled with documenting my thing because it's hard. It's hard. Like when you're just doing life, it's like, well, nobody's really interested in this, and then you realize it's like, you know what, this could be valuable for
Everybody's
like
interested in it.
little stuff that I well most my girls that are with me in the club, and I say stuff and they're like, whoa, why didn't you bring up that before? And I'm like, oh man, I didn't know anybody
Yep.
needed to know. I'm sorry. I had no idea. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I sometimes I assume people know stuff, and
yep. And that's my biggest problem with, like, I've been trying to document this tank and I quit doing it because you remember 3 months ago I was gonna do that whole series about setting this thing up, and crap, I have so much in life going on between the business, my day job, the government, my kids, everything. It was just impossible to keep up with doing the recordings, making the content as I'm doing it. Yeah, I can go back and do the content, but if there's 1,000 corals in here, the content when I do water stabilizer is not going to work.
It's hard, and I don't know if you watched any of my video. Like I'm not trying to be polished, like so I'm not going with a script because I don't want to be that guy.
I hate scripts,
but like I want to just like vomit information out by accident, and like I don't want it to be like smooth and whatever. I just want it to be like, what's the word? Organic. Like I just want it to be organic, because I think a lot of people edit too much and then stuff's lost. I just want it to just be organic. So it's not going to be like, Pulitzer Prize winning content, but I think if I just keep up with the habit, I think the whole body of work will be beneficial for people.
The whole body of work is what's important. And that's like you've seen, I mean, you saw the script I sent you today. That was a very quick pull together with a lot of ChatGPT's help, as you can tell by looking at it. Normally I take that and then I break it out in bullet points. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Here's 6 things I want to talk about on this short. And my wife gets mad at me because I'll sit here and I'll do a video 7 times and it will never be the same. Yeah. I'm like, crap, I gotta do it again because I didn't say that statement. Darn it, do it again. And then it's like, crap, I forgot that statement.
or you say and so, or
don't even get me started on my ums.
The filler words. No, but you're actually pretty good at it. You have enough, especially about the product, you have it rehearsed enough that it comes through really clear, and you don't have those filler words. But yeah, mine's not going to be. Mine's not going to be like that. Mine's going to be like ton of that because I'm thinking as I'm speaking. So
right. Well, for me, the trade shows, you've recorded me at a trade show before. I don't stop talking about the same thing to every other customer. So it's like calling my kid's name. It's very repetitive and easy. So it gets there. You'll get it. You've done a lot of content. You're getting better at it. Your content's great, actually. I like it. I love the honesty in your content.
Yeah. Well,
really. And that's why I like your Zoom meetings. I mean, if you guys, whoever's on here watching this or watches this later, third Thursday of the month, right?
Yeah, third Thursday of every month.
Third Thursday of every month, they do a Zoom meeting on CRC's website, their Facebook group or whatever. You go to their website, they'll give you the link and everything, and go in and watch it. They won't let you in until you introduce yourself and say who you are, because they've had some bots get in there and some bad people get in there.
Yeah.
But definitely recommend joining that. They bring in people like me, other people in the industry. Most of the time, it's somebody who is a decent sized name or a big name in the industry, comes in, explains what they do, what they're all about, their whole process, everything. I go on, answer questions for products and whatnot. But it's really a good community to get into. There's always giveaways. They do a duck race at the end, which is pretty freaking cute, to say the least. Cute's the right word. They're a great group and a great group of people. I mean, Matt's done a great job with that group. It's really a good group.
Oh, the one thing. So I did an old school thing to kickstart my new Reefer 170. So there was nothing in it. I had put clean water in it, and my 220 gallon, I was cleaning the skimmer. I dumped most of it out, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna rinse my skimmer cup out in the tank,
Mhm.
and so I left the skimmer. I left it stew for about 3 days, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna turn the skimmer on that tank just to pull that. I pulled exactly out what I put in it, but
Yep.
I'm like, in the meantime, that was the that was bio that was biology, the biointense bacteria.
Yep.
I just put it in there. So I didn't put that on my live because I know some people would have
You'd
been
have
like,
caught some flack for that one.
yeah, but I'm telling you, I guarantee it worked. You put the clean water and you put the nasties in it and then pull it back out. Because in the
Yep.
old days, we used to buy fish or shrimp from the seafood department and put it in
Go
there
to
and just let.
Walmart, throw a shrimp in the back. As soon as it degrades, you're ready for fish.
Yeah, because there was no such thing as bacteria.
Bottled bacteria. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
So
crazy that if you actually do research on most of the bottled bacteria, it's from septic systems,
yeah.
which is
Hey,
actually not a marine-based bacteria.
I had a fully established tank, and that bacteria is supporting acros and everything else. That's probably the best bacteria. And you know what? I'm not so sure that people's not bottling skimmer water and selling it in retail.
I won't argue. I won't say anything on that because I don't want to get in trouble for that one.
I know. I mean, we're not mentioning any names, so we're good. But
Yep.
I
I will
swear
say
some of it is just.
the bacterias that you can see in the industry, there is a lot of differences between every single brand. Since we brought it up, every bacteria does something different when it comes to the nutrient cycle and the type of bacteria and microfauna that's in your tank, whether it's aerobic, anaerobic bacteria, or Neutrofena bacteria. I'll leave it that's enough for that.
Yeah. Well, probably
Yep.
my next update, I'm probably going to tell that. So be sure to be watching because I'm sure people are going to go flip out when I tell them that I did that to jumpstart that tank.
I would say how I jumpstart tanks, but I would get in trouble. I use water stabilizer when I jumpstart tanks. The one thing I do want to add to bacteria is if you're using a bacteria, read the bottle, use it for what it's designed for, not what somebody online told you to do. You will crash your tank faster than anything if you follow what online says. Read the bottles of every single product you use and use it correctly.
I agree.
Manufacturers put labels on bottles for reasons, not for internet warriors to deceive and rip apart.
Yeah, and if not, get some live rock from your friend and put it in your tank.
Yep. There's loads of ways to start tanks. Just figure out the way that works for you and the time span that you want to do to cycle your tank and go that route. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna call this an end. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for everybody who jumped on. We had there's been quite a few people on here. I know it only looks like 5 or 6, but you don't see all the other channels that are pulling through as well. But it's been pretty busy on this one. So thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you again, Matt. And
Thanks
we'll
for having